Hello members, I hope you're all doing well. It has been long ever since we met. In the previous video, we had started analyzing the themes and ideas in Devon across, and we're going to continue with the same theme of the themes and ideas in this very book. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I want to ask you to do so that you don't miss any video that we post in here. And if you have not yet watched the videos that we had in the previous segments, I want you to just click on the link that I'm going to put up in this very video, and you'll be able to access the rest of the videos that we have been looking at from the beginning of the novel up to where we are today. Well, we have looked at a number of themes previously, and today we're going to look at the theme of resistance, revolution, and national liberation. And then the theme of greed and materialism, in one way or the other, shall also be hinting on it. But then I will ask the students, particularly, different things to make up the whole analysis of the themes. I'm going to ask you to go and look at the themes of injustice and oppression, hypocrisy and betrayal, fate and destiny, suffering, and also despair and disillusionment. These ones are also crucial in the analysis and understanding of the major themes that we have so far discussed. However, with the time we shall be looking at another session where we shall be explaining the different themes in questions. So that will mean we're looking at question, approach, and interpretation in the different aspects of literature. I want to remind people that we have uploaded a video that is going to direct you to the different sessions on how you can access the notes for these videos. There are people who are asking me how they could be able to access those notes. So I have set up an online kind of online school, a system that you can always go there and find the notes there. You find the past papers in the literature. You'll also be able to find the different marking guides. And if you want, you can also access the sample essays. How does a good essay for literature look like? So that system is there. Just look at the very last video of this on this channel. You'll be able to find it. And formerly we have looked at the theme of corruption, exploitation, neocolonialism, elitism, and today we're going to look at resistance, revolution, and national liberation. However, with the time we're also going to have a question on the concept of socialism versus capitalism. It is a very common question in Devon across, and we shall be analyzing that in question form. Okay, so in case you've just come to this channel and you are new, I want to ask you once again to subscribe so that you don't miss any video that we put up here. So we shall begin by first of all defining what we mean by resistance. It is very important that you look at those small things that you see in the book, because sometimes a theme that looks to be very distant is the one that is actually very common. Now, some of us don't really see resistance as a book, simply because when we are reading, we are following and we are very excited about Waringa as our hero. We become so sympathetic that we do not analyze the small things that make up themes. And for example, the theme of resistance, revolution, and national liberation has really fallen a victim of such things that we have given a cold shoulder. So resistance simply means a refusal to follow suit, or refusing to do as one wants or wishes. So meaning that in the novel, everywhere we see refusal for people to follow suit or to do as other people wish is going to be an aspect of resistance. And then revolution is a collective effort. It can be physical, can be emotional, to bring about change. So everywhere we're going to see any form of collectiveness, or people coming together, or things coming together to fight, to fight to bring things together or to change. That is going to be a revolution. And then national liberation, this can be defined simply as a unified and a collectiveness aspect to get the nation or a country or someone or people off the tide. So this could mean that it is a situation of coming together or collecting together to get rid of a situation or a bad situation, or to get someone off the hook of another individual of a bad situation. So that's what we can mean. So meaning that we're going to be tracing all these aspects in the book and find out where we see the different forms of resistances, the different forms of revolution, and also national liberation. Some people have actually called this theme the theme of, they call it the fight for freedom. By the way, it is the same. There is no difference between this and the fight for freedom. It is the same. So when we look at the Devil on the Cross, among all other issues that the novel presents, those issues could include class analysis, the class struggle. Ngugi is very particular to concentrate on the themes of resistance, revolution, and national liberation against neocolonial and capitalistic oppression among the people of Kenya. Currently, it seems that Ngugi is trying to confirm that it is only through the political and economic liberation of the people of Kenya that the liberation of Kenya as a whole, as a country, can be possible. That if the people of Kenya are not liberated, then in one way or the other, we don't have a liberation at all. So a country can't be liberated unless there is its people have actually tried to liberate themselves, so they are free, politically, economically, and also emotionally. So pointing out the different instances that can bring about this is particularly on page 63, where he says, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Well, this is a very common saying among the literary analysts, but it is clear that Ngugi does not pick this by accident. Ngugi is trying to indicate that when people come together and they speak against a particular issue, then they are simply communicating that they don't need it and therefore they must be free from it. So Ngugi here reminds us that the liberation of Kenyans is necessary and important for the liberation of the whole country. That if they want to liberate Kenya, then they are going to begin by liberating its people. So in Devil on the Cross, this liberation turns out to be a total immersion in the struggles of Kenyan workers, the peasants, and the students. Those are the academicians particularly. Okay. So as the novel proceeds, you see that this comes out particularly to say that these people can only liberate themselves when they are free from the hooks of the harsh employers. So they are trying to liberate themselves from the form of employment exploitation in all aspects of this country. Okay. Yes, so in this case, Ngugi's idea about a revolution in Kenya specifically rests on the complete and a total liberation of the people. Looking at the economy that cannot exist on its own unless its people are socially equal, and the ownership of this responsibility to make sure that people are equal and socializing properly and the economy is running properly is only when the people are the ones controlling the economy of the country. And that's why he says the voice of the people is the voice of God, just as on page 63. Nevertheless, the fulfillment of such a project, as he communicates it in his book, relies so much on the unity and the collectiveness of the people or of the masses, as well as the collective and national consciousness of the leaders. Which leaders, if they don't listen, will always have chaos, like what happens at the cave. This is because the people that represent the leaders, we look at the security people, Afande Kakono, representing, for example, the security forces, who doesn't want to listen to what the people are speaking, then the chaos has to always break. That you only seize what has come before, but maybe it's just a litmus paper, because when Wangari is arrested, he doesn't know what is coming after. And that's why we see when Muturi arrives together with the masses and the students, chaos is actually unquenched. Well, so the common people the common actions of the peasants and the workers as they march to the devil's feast reflect the social collectiveness that which characterizes the struggle against capitalistic forces and against bad forms of managing the economy. So in this case, you can see that there is a kind of a rebellion, a struggle against capitalism, against exploitation, and against any form of injustice that takes place in Kenya at the time. That's a revolution. Okay, so this kind of struggle actually in the cave is an epitome of the necessary revolution and the armed resistance of the masses. That the fact that they are not even having a gun or guns to come and fight against these powerful people does not mean that it is not a rebellion. Actually, it is a very big revolution that people struggle to get rid of the rich people, especially the colonialists that have come to exploit Kenya. So until the different democratic-minded Kenyans, the workers and the peasants, the students, the progressive intellectuals like the Gaturians and the others unite on the most minimum basis of patriotic opposition to imperialists, to foreign dominion, and of the economy, to free the economy, the politics of the country and its culture. No matter what they do, power will never go away from the hands of the wrong people. So when these different parties do not come together, then we cannot be able to manage a rebellion. That's the reason as to why Ngugi uses Wangari and Muturi to bring the masses on board. But when you look at people like Gaturia, the intellectuals, who do not seem to be taking a serious part in this struggle, then we see no rebellion taking serious note. So in this case, Ngugi tries to show that a rebellion is the only way that people can follow to overcome the different forms of injustices in society. But if the parties are not united, like the workers have come together with the peasants and the students, by then the intellectuals are left behind, then it is very important to note that that rebellion won't succeed, just like what happens at the cave. So no country can consider itself politically independent for as long as foreign interests dominate its economy and the culture. This is the reason as to why the people of Kenya stand against the imperialists in the cave, and that's how we see the rebellion. So in Devon Cross still, the awakening of the masses against the capitalistic forces is spread across the principles of Marxism, and this one maybe we can have an illustration which I hope I put up here. Okay, we shall see it if time comes. But on Devon Cross page 222, the workers and the peasants struggle to make sure that they overcome the principles of capitalism. So this aspect of fighting to rebel against capitalism is what we can also refer to as a rebellion. For example, on that very page 222, the fruits of each worker's labor went into his own pocket. Let's just try to check this. Okay, it's just here. Yeah, it's just here. The fruits of each worker's labor went into his own pocket, but at the end of the month would contribute a fixed sum to a common pool. No one in the community of workers lived on the sweat of another. So you can see that just by revealing this, Muturi and Wangari are very bitter about what happens in the cave. They are trying to rebel against the principle of drinking other people's sweat when for them they are not working. So this all is a resistance. Then another instance lies when in the situation when Muturi tries to convince the people of Imorog about the fact that it is their right to react whenever the community is being taken away from them. The community in this case is what they have as workers. It is the sweat that they have. But when it is taken away from them, then it becomes a very big challenge for them. So all through the novel, he functions as the authentic revolutionary figure that heads the awakening of the workers up. I don't know if we put this one up here. It is on page 204 when I check my book. Okay, I think it is just the worker. I know very well that the forces of the law and order of those who rob the workers of the products of their sweat, of those who steal food and land from the peasants. Let me tell you, I am sure that the system of theft and robbery will never end. So in this case, it's trying to appeal to the people to come up and fight against the spirit of exploitation and greed and materialism, especially among the rich. So in so doing, Muturi is clearly leading a rebellion, and that's how we see the theme of rebellion and national liberation. Okay, so the members of this organization are those who Ngugi considers as the representatives of the Holy Trinity of the worker, the peasant, and the student. Significantly, their unity has led to the chasing of the local and foreign capitalists away from the cave at the devil's feast. So in these terms, therefore, we can conclude that the total liberation of Kenya as a whole becomes possible only if all Kenyans will listen to the voice of the rebirth and the rebellion. That one you can check it up on page 230. You'll be able to find that there, and you will continue to enhance your knowledge about what we're talking about. So through the necessity of the unity and the collectiveness of the struggle against capitalism, we can see that people come together to fight and chase away the people in the cave. So all these forms of chasing away the thieves in the cave indicate forms of rebellion, and it can signify the theme. Now, other cases can include those when Waringa significantly refuses to yield to Boskhara's sexual immorality. That's also rebellion, especially against sexual exploitation in Kenya among the girls. So you can also go on and explain more about that. Yes, there are other forms of the same theme portrayed elsewhere in the book, and these ones you can trace them out and then you can go on and explain them. The second one, after Waringa has refused to yield to Boskhara's sexual demands, which we conclude that is actually very crucial in illustrating what girls today should do, even if it means losing their own jobs. We can also look at the fact that Wangari stands in the courts of law in Nairobi and openly tells the white judge how she is not a foreigner to this country and she will never go away even if she's suffering in the same country. There's also a rebellion against neocolonialistic powers in the courts of law. Then as we move on, also at the end of the novel, in the cave, also the same Wangari stands and openly points to the audience that they have to work together and arrest the thieves in the cave because they're the ones that are leading to the troubles in Kenya. So all this is a rebellion against collective exploitation of the Kenyans. As we move on, we also have to look at Gaturia. It's also a very good symbol of rebellion and resistance and national liberation. Gaturia's father stands certainly as a very big figure in the exploitation of Kenyan masses and also a figure that supports colonialism. When look at how he even organizes the party and tells people what they should put on, where they should even be getting it from, it is clear that this gentleman is so much into neocolonialism. He supports the whites so much. So the fact that Gaturia refuses to follow his commands of going to study a course that the father wishes him to study, that is in economics, is also enough to explain that Gaturia rebels against the father. So that is also symbolically a rebellion against the forms of neocolonialism and capitalism, because Gaturia is actually ashamed of mentioning his father to the public. So it also communicates that he's not ready to take up the different grade of the father. The other forms of resistance also are in Boscara's company, Champion Construction Company, where the workers are not willing to also take on the peanuts as the bosses take a lot of money and exploit them. Although these people lose a job, for example, we see that Muturi is on their way going to Morocco simply because he does something that Boscara doesn't agree with, leading the people to rebel against the peanuts that they receive. So that is also a rebellion against exploitation. There are very many other forms of rebellions in the book, and you have to just take them on and explain them. And maybe the last one we don't have to leave out is when Waringa openly shoots the rich old man from Gorica. It is clear that she symbolically sends a message to people who exploit young girls that they will not survive the hunger of the young girls, especially when they get a chance to rebel against them. So that is also resistance against exploitation, especially sexual exploitation, and that is signified when Waringa comes up to shoot the rich old man from Gorica at the end of the novel. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this time we have to go on and look at another theme in here, and we're now going to look at the theme of greed and materialism. I'm going to be much quicker in this one here. Greed simply means a selfish and excessive desire for more of something. More of anything is greed. More of money, more of food. And materialism is great excessive regard for worldly concerns or constant concern over material possessions and wealth. So in the book, wherever we shall see people wanting more without having the quench of their thirst for more, then we shall just say these people are greedy and materialistic. Let's go on and see the different forms of materialism. The first case that we can look at is actually Waringa to the rich old man from Gorica. Some people have really liked Waringa so much that she becomes an idol for them. They wouldn't want to say anything wrong about this girl. However, others believe that it is Waringa's fault about materialism that she accepts to go on and sleep with the rich old man from Gorica. This is because she wants materials, especially when he mentions whatever she's studying for is what he has. So this girl goes for the rich old man from Gorica because one, she wants those materials from him. So that's also greed and materialism. Then Mwaura kills and is willing to even leave Wangari on the way due to just 5 cents. Now, we have been told through the omniscient narrator that Mwaura has ever killed a person over 5 cents, and he's also very willing to leave Wangari on the way on Kennedy Hills as they are going to Morocco because she's not able to pay a cent. But what is more annoying is when he reveals that he does not have anywhere in the world he can go, even if it is in the toilet, so long as he is going to look for money from there. I'm sorry, there's some noise here. So, but also the other cases that you can put on this very point is the fact that Mwaura is very willing to sell his own mother if she can fetch a number of coins. So this also explains greed and materialism of the people, the rich people, especially in Kenya. And Mwaura represents those who are so cunning. Then we have Nyanjiru, as we are told in Muturi's story, in Gaturia's story, the 3 stories that he tells us, there is a lady, Nyanjiru, who loses her life because she wants wealth from her lover. So this girl who doesn't want to marry black people because she feels she wants to get married to a white, but later on this because she wants to get money, materials from that white, and at the end of it all she loses her life. Okay, then in the same stories that Gaturia tells us, we also have this same other gentleman who also moves on to look for property, and because of the property offers his soul to the spirits, and as a result he loses his life at the end of it all. He loses the property and the life at the same time. So there's also another case of greed and materialism. The local thieves also betray Kenya simply because they want materials from the whites. You can see this is simplified very clearly in the way they gather in the cave and try to compete to show off their skills in the exploitation of the Kenyans. So in this, they are simply betraying their fellow Kenyans simply because they want more materials from the whites. Then Gitutu also takes on a stingy exploitation form, especially in the land offices. On page 104 to 105, he has to take on pieces of land from people at a very cheap price, but then sell them to people at a price which looks to be very cheap, but it is very expensive because he has cut these pieces of land into smaller pieces and sells them to the same people at a price that people will think is cheap. So this kind of exploitation is also much more about greed and materialism. He doesn't stop there. He goes on to involve in other schemes that are stingy, and that one explains the reason as to why at the end of it all there is a battle in the cave. And then Kihahu also constructs schools, and these schools which are also aimed at exploiting people of even his own class. It is funny that he goes on to do that, but all that he does in the land, for example selling land, involving in the politics and the housing estates, all these are too exploitative and materialistic. Whatever that he does in the politics is simply because he wants to gain more property. And then the selling of land, like Gitutu does at the beginning of the competition, is also an illustration of that kind of stingy greed and materialism. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to just put the link of the link that can lead you to the site that's going to give you the notes for this very video and other videos, and make sure that you go there. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video on narrative techniques.